Okay, so when you go to create your grid on your final paper, we are going to create a 1-inch grid, which means we're going to be measuring to the inch. Now my printer's in the way. So I'm going to start on this side of the paper. We're measuring to the inch. So because my printer's in the way and I can't extend my ruler, I'm going to line it up here. So I'm just going to be going backwards every inch, but it's the same concept. Every inch. So I want to make sure, this is big, that my ruler is even with the end of my paper. A lot of people do this, or they do that, or they come into here. I don't know why they do that, but they do. So make sure that you are lined up with the end of your paper and that you're measuring over here. You're not going to make your tick marks on this side because if you get into the middle of the paper, it's harder to make it even. So just up here, whoop, right at these inch marks. If you have a hard time seeing the inch marks, sometimes they're worn away on the ruler, I will help you find them. Okay? All right, so I've done that for this side. Erase the one I didn't want. Okay. I'm going to do this for every single side of the paper. Again, my ruler's too long, so I have to start on this side of the paper, but it doesn't matter because all I need to do is find the inch marks. The inches are on both sides of this ruler. It's not like one side has inches, one side has centimeters. Okay, so right now I have my measurements on two sides of my paper. Many people decide that this is enough and they are going to use their marks and they're going to eyeball where they think they should end up on the other side. I guarantee that has never been successful in the history of this project. So if you do that, you will start over, okay? So you want to measure every single side. Every single side. My ruler's lined up to the end. Inch, inch, inch. Really light marks. I'm not making long, dark marks. Okay? You're going down the length of the entire paper, lining it up to the end. Okay, now I have all 4 sides of my paper measured out. I'm going to double check my measurements and make sure they look even. If anything looks off here, don't move forward because you will just then start over. So if anything looks off here, these are super easy to erase without having to start over. So if you are not sure if your marks are even, ask someone or ask me. But ask, don't just move forward anyway because you'll make more work for yourself, okay? So now that I know these are even, I need to take my ruler, okay, and I'm going to line up my marks on either side of my ruler. For some reason, a lot of people, and I mean a lot, don't do that. And so their mark will be here, and they'll have it correct on one side and not pay attention to this side, and they'll draw their line. Well, what's the point of having a mark here if you're not going to use it, right? So you have to make sure that you're lined up. Now, here's something else that's big. You want to hold the ruler in the middle so it doesn't wobble side to side. A lot of people try to hold it at one end. Well, if you put pressure down, it's going to push it, right? Or they try to hold it, I'll show you when we go the other direction, with their arm, and they're blocking the other side, so you can't even see if it's lined up. Don't do that either. Hold it in the middle with your fingers so that you have a clear view that it's lined up. Then, this is super important. You're going to hold the pencil at the end by the eraser But here is what you cannot do. You cannot use any more than 2 fingers to hold it. If you use 3 fingers by the eraser, you'll use too much pressure. If you hold down here, you'll use too much pressure. If you hold down here, you'll use too much pressure. 2 fingers by the eraser. I know it's an unnatural way to hold a pencil, but this is how you have to do it. If you do it this way and your measurements are correct, you won't have to start over. Your lines won't be too dark. So I'm going to drag then, there we go, my pencil across the ruler. You should barely be able to see that line. Okay, same thing. Hold in the middle of the ruler. Hold with my pincher finger and my thumb, my first finger and my thumb. Whoop, I just bumped my camera. I'm re-videoing this. Okay. Okay, drag. And you're gonna do this all the way down, okay? When it's time to do the other side, same thing. Make sure you're totally lined up end to end. Pinch your fingers, drag, okay? If your lines are darker than this, you will have to start over because eventually we'll be erasing all of our grid lines. If they're too dark, 2 things are going to happen. You're going to make an indent into the paper, so when you go to shade, you'll always see that straight line, okay? Or you'll make a ghost line, which means it will never go away. Well, we don't want to see a grid on top of our drawing, do we? No. So we need to make sure that our grid lines are super light so you can barely see them. So my suggestion to you is double check with someone with your measurements and then do your grid lines. No one can move on until I see their grid and get it approved. Okay? If you get it approved, then that's all we're going to be doing for today. Okay? All right, so remember, measure to the inch, check your measurements, measure every single side of the paper, hold your ruler in the middle, and hold your pencil pinching the eraser.